I've been living with my dad, 52M, and stepmom Diane, 45F, for the past year while finishing up my master's degree in psychology. My parents divorced when I was 10, and dad married Diane when I was 16. I have two younger siblings, Alex, 19M, and Sophie, 17F. Diane and dad also have a 4-year-old son, Ethan. Growing up, I always thought Diane was pretty cool. She seemed to make an effort with us kids, and I never felt like she treated us differently than Ethan. Sure, there were some awkward moments as we all adjusted, but overall, I felt lucky to have a stepmom who seemed to care. Our family has always been close-knit despite the divorce. My mom and dad managed to maintain a civil relationship for our sake, and we'd often have big family gatherings that included both sides. Diane seemed to fit in seamlessly, always bringing her famous apple pie to Thanksgiving and organizing Secret Santa for Christmas. I remember when dad first introduced us to Diane. I was 14, still adjusting to the reality of my parents' divorce. Diane was patient and kind, never pushing us to accept her, but always making it clear she was there if we needed her. She'd bring us little gifts, a book she thought I'd like, a new video game for Alex, art supplies for Sophie. It felt genuine, like she really wanted to connect with us. As we got older, Diane became more like a friend. She'd give me advice about boys and school, help Alex with his college applications, and spend hours crafting with Sophie. When Ethan was born, I was worried things might change, but Diane went out of her way to make sure we still felt included. Last week, I was using Diane's laptop to print something for school when I noticed she was still logged into her email. I was about to close it when I saw a notification from a parenting forum. Curiosity got the best of me, and I clicked on it. What I found shocked me to my core. Diane had been posting regularly on this forum for years, venting about how much she resented us stepkids. She complained about having to deal with us, and how she couldn't wait for Alex and Sophie to move out. There were horrible comments about how annoying Sophie's drama was. Sophie has struggled with anxiety and depression since middle school, and how Alex was lazy and unmotivated. But the posts about me were the worst. Diane wrote multiple times about how she thought I was manipulative and trying to come between her and my dad. She accused me of intentionally excluding her and said I was too clingy with my dad. She even implied there was something inappropriate about our relationship because I sometimes hug my dad or lean on him while watching TV. I felt sick reading it all. This whole time I thought we had a decent relationship, but it turns out Diane has secretly hated us for years. She's been putting on an act this whole time. As I kept scrolling, I found posts from just a few months ago when I moved back in. Diane complained endlessly about having an adult freeloader in the house, even though I contribute to groceries and utilities. She said I was stunting Ethan's development by hogging all the attention. I'm devastated and don't know what to do. Part of me wants to confront Diane, but I'm worried that will just make things worse. I also feel guilty for snooping, even though it was accidental at first. Should I tell my dad? My siblings? I'm afraid of blowing up our whole family dynamic, but I also feel like I can't pretend I don't know this information. How am I supposed to interact with Diane now, knowing how she really feels about us? I keep replaying all our interactions in my head, wondering if I somehow missed the signs. Was Diane really such a good actress all these years? Or did something change to make her resent us so much? For context, Diane has always seemed a bit insecure in her role as stepmom. When she and my dad first got together, she tried really hard to bond with us kids. Maybe too hard sometimes, planning elaborate family outings or buying us expensive gifts. My mom wasn't thrilled about it, which caused some tension. I remember one particular incident when I was about 17. Diane had planned this big surprise trip to Disney World for all of us, including my mom. She thought it would be a great way for everyone to bond, but my mom felt uncomfortable and declined, which led to a huge argument between her and dad. Diane was crushed, and I wonder now if that was a turning point. For her. As we got older, Diane backed off a bit. I actually appreciated that she gave us space and didn't try to force a mom role. Now, I wonder if that was just her true feelings coming out. I'm especially upset about the comments regarding Sophie. My sister has been struggling with her mental health for a few years now. She was diagnosed with anxiety and depression at 15, and it's been a rough road. Diane has always seemed supportive, going with Sophie to therapy appointments, researching coping techniques, even starting a mental health support group at her church. To find out she actually views Sophie's illness as drama is heartbreaking. I remember countless nights when Sophie would have panic attacks, and Diane would sit with her for hours, just holding her hand and helping her breathe. Was that all an act? The thought makes me sick. I'm also confused about the accusations regarding my relationship with my dad. We've always been close. I'm a bit of a daddy's girl, I'll admit, but there's absolutely nothing inappropriate about it. My dad and I share a lot of interests. We both love sci-fi movies, enjoy hiking, and have heated debates about politics. I never thought Diane had an issue with it before. The stuff about Alex being lazy really bothers me too. My brother had a hard time in high school and took a gap year before starting community college. He's been working part-time at a local bike shop and trying to figure out his path. Diane always seemed encouraging, even helping him research different career options. But apparently she just views him as a deadbeat. I'm trying to decide if I should say something to my siblings. Alex still lives at home and Sophie is there most of the time when not at mom's. Do they deserve to know how Diane really feels about them? Or would telling them just cause unnecessary pain? Part of me wants to pack up and leave immediately, but I only have a few months left in my program and moving would be a huge hassle. Plus, I'd feel terrible abandoning my siblings and Ethan. I'm so angry at Diane for putting on this charade for years. I trusted her and viewed her as family. Now I feel like our entire relationship was based on lies. How do I move forward from here? I can't unhear what I've read. But blowing up my family also feels wrong. I'm lost and could use some advice on how to handle this mess. The worst part is, I can't stop thinking about all the moments I thought we were bonding. Like when Diane taught me how to make her famous apple pie, or when she helped me pick out my prom dress. Was she gritting her teeth the whole time, resenting every minute spent with me? It makes me question everything. I'm also worried about Ethan. He adores his older siblings, always wanting to play with Alex or have Sophie read him stories. How long before Diane's resentment starts affecting him? Will she try to turn him against us? I feel like I'm carrying this huge secret, and it's eating me up inside. Every interaction with Diane now feels fake and strained. I'm afraid I'll snap and confront her in front of everyone. What makes it worse is that I'm studying psychology. I should be better equipped to handle family drama like this. But all my training goes out the window when it's my own family involved. I could really use some advice on how to proceed. Do I confront Diane? Tell my dad? Keep it to myself and try to move out as soon as possible? I feel like there's no good option here, just varying degrees of bad. Update 1. It's been about a week since my last post and a lot has happened. I really appreciate all the advice and support from everyone. After agonizing over it for days, I decided I had to tell my dad what I found. It didn't feel right keeping this information from him, especially since it impacts our whole family. I asked Dad to meet me for coffee, away from the house. When I told him about Diane's secret forum account, he was stunned. At first, he didn't believe me. He kept saying there must be some misunderstanding. But when I showed him screenshots I had taken, the color drained from his face. Dad was furious. He couldn't believe Diane had been harboring these feelings for years without ever talking to him about it. He was especially upset about the comments regarding me and Sophie. We talked for hours, going over everything I had found. Dad asked a lot of questions about specific incidents Diane had mentioned. In many cases, her version of events was wildly different from reality. She had twisted innocent situations to paint us kids in a negative light. One incident stood out in particular. Last Christmas, I had given Diane a photo album I made, filled with pictures of our family over the years. She had seemed touched, even tearing up a bit. But in her forum posts, she complained about how I had deliberately chosen photos where she looked bad or wasn't included. It was like we had experienced two completely different events. By the end of our conversation, Dad was determined to confront Diane. He said he needed answers and couldn't move forward without addressing this. When we got home, Dad asked Diane to talk privately. I took Ethan to the park so they could have space. When I returned a few hours later, the atmosphere in the house was tense. Dad told me that Diane initially tried to downplay everything, saying it was just venting and didn't reflect her true feelings. But when Dad pressed her on specific posts, she got defensive and angry. She accused me of violating her privacy and tried to turn it around on me. Ultimately, Diane admitted that she has struggled with resentment towards us stepkids for years. She said she felt like an outsider in her own family and was jealous of our bond with Dad. But instead of addressing these feelings head-on, she bottled them up and vented online. Dad told Diane he needs time to process everything and decide how to move forward. He asked her to stay with her sister for a while to give everyone space. Diane left yesterday afternoon. I'm relieved that everything is out in the open now, but also sad and anxious about what comes next. Dad seems lost. I can tell he's struggling to reconcile the Diane he thought he knew with this secret side of her. I finally told Alex and Sophie what was going on. Alex was angry, but not entirely surprised. He said he always felt some underlying tension with Diane, but couldn't put his finger on it. Sophie was devastated. She looked up to Diane and feels deeply betrayed. Sophie shared a memory that broke my heart. Last year, when she was really struggling with her depression, Diane had taken her on a weekend trip, just the two of them. Sophie said it was one of the best weekends of her life, feeling like she finally had a mom who understood her. Now she's questioning if any of it was real. We're all trying to support each other right now. Dad is being great. making sure we know none of this is our fault. He's also arranging for Sophie to see her therapist more frequently to process everything. I'm not sure what the future holds for our family. Part of me hopes Diane and Dad can work things out through counseling. But a bigger part feels like the trust is irreparably broken. How can we ever feel comfortable around her again, knowing her true feelings? For now, we're taking it day by day. Dad says his priority is making sure us kids feel safe and supported. He's promised to be more vigilant about our family dynamics moving forward. I'm still processing my own emotions about everything. I alternate between anger, sadness, and numbness. I'm trying to focus on finishing up my degree and being there for my siblings, but it's hard not to dwell on all the years of deception. Ethan is starting to ask questions about where his mom is. It breaks my heart to see him confused. Dad has been amazing with him, but it's clear Ethan senses the tension in the house. I'll update again when there are any major developments. Thank you all again for the support and advice during this difficult time. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update. A lot has happened, so I wanted to share where things stand now. Diane is still staying with her sister. She and my dad have had a few conversations, but no real resolution yet. Dad says he's still trying to wrap his head around everything and figure out if there's any way forward. The initial shock has worn off for us kids, but we're all still struggling in our own ways. Alex has thrown himself into work and barely comes home anymore. Sophie's anxiety and depression have flared up again. She's having trouble in school and spends most of her time in her room. I've been trying to step up and be there for everyone, but it's exhausting. I feel like I'm constantly walking on eggshells, trying to keep the peace and support my family while also dealing with my own emotions. Ethan is really feeling the absence of his mom. He's been having nightmares and acting out at preschool. Dad has been amazing with him, but it's clear Ethan senses the tension in the house. Last week, Diane reached out and asked to meet with me one-on-one. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a neutral coffee shop, and it was about as awkward as you'd expect. Diane started by apologizing profusely. She said she never meant to hurt anyone and that her posts were just a way of venting her insecurities. She tried to explain that she's always felt like an outsider in our family and didn't know how to address those feelings in a healthy way. She talked about how overwhelming it was to suddenly become a stepmom to 3 kids, especially since she had never planned on having children of her own. She said she felt constant pressure to be perfect and live up to the image of the cool stepmom she thought we wanted. Diane also revealed some things about her own childhood that shed some light on her behavior. Apparently, she grew up in a very dysfunctional family with an emotionally abusive mother. She never learned how to express her feelings in a healthy way, which led to her bottling everything up and then venting online. I listened to what she had to say, but honestly, it was hard to take her apology seriously. How can you claim to love someone while secretly trashing them online for years? I told Diane that while I appreciate her apology, I don't think I can ever fully trust her again. We talked for about an hour, going over some of the specific incidents she had posted about. In many cases, her recollection of events was completely different from reality. It was clear she had built up this narrative in her head that didn't align with what actually happened. One incident stood out. Diane had posted about how I deliberately excluded her from my college graduation celebration. In reality, I had specifically asked Dad to make sure Diane was there, and had even given her a special bonus mom card to thank her for her support. When I reminded her of this, Diane seemed genuinely confused, as if she had completely rewritten the memory in her mind. By the end of our conversation, I felt drained, but also somewhat relieved. I was able to express some of the hurt and anger I've been feeling, which felt cathartic. Diane seemed genuinely remorseful, but I'm not sure that's enough to undo years of deception. I told Dad about the meeting afterward. He was glad we were able to talk, but cautioned me not to get my hopes up about any quick resolution. He said he and Diane have a lot to work through before any decisions can be made about the future of their relationship. For now, we're all just trying to establish a new normal. Dad has been amazing through all of this, making sure we all feel supported and loved. He's been spending extra time with Ethan, trying to maintain some stability for him. I've decided to extend my stay at home beyond graduation to help out with the kids and support Dad. It's not ideal, but family comes first right now. Alex and Sophie need stability, and I want to be there for them. Sophie has started seeing a new therapist who specializes in family trauma. It seems to be helping. She's slowly coming out of her room more and even started painting again, which has always been her outlet. Alex and I have been trying to keep things as normal as possible for Ethan. We've been taking him on outings to the park and zoo, trying to give him some fun experiences amidst all the tension at home. I'm still angry at Diane, but I'm trying to focus that energy on healing and moving forward. Whether she remains part of our lives long-term remains to be seen. For now, I'm just taking it one day at a time and trying to be there for my family as best I can. The whole situation has made me reflect on my own future relationships and potential step-parenting. I always thought I understood the challenges, but this has opened my eyes to how complex blended families can be. I'm grateful for the support of my friends and extended family during this time. It's been a stark reminder of the importance of having a strong support system outside of your immediate family. As for what comes next, I honestly don't know. Dad and Diane are starting couples counseling next week, but I'm trying not to get my hopes up one way or the other. For now, we're all just focused on healing and moving forward, whatever that may look like.